Last week, I brought out all my Wandas and unboxed the Hot Toys Endgame Wanda Maximoff figure. I personally think the likeness on the Endgame Wanda is even better than the Multiverse of Madness Scarlet Witch. And what's even cooler is that they look awesome together. I love how they look in my display cabinet. That said, there is a Wanda that isn't like the others, and that's the Marvel Legends Civil War Wanda Maximoff figure. While I personally prefer to have the Age of Ultron Wanda more, I don't mind adding Civil War Wanda to my collection. Since I have most of the characters from Civil War already, I'm only missing Hawkeye now, I believe. Besides, Wanda with brunette hair deserves some love too.
Let's deconstruct this figure.
I didn't really pay attention to Marvel Legends until around 2018 or 2019, so I thought the Infinity War Wanda was the only MCU Wanda figure at the time. I didn't know there was a Civil War version until years later. And I've since wondered if they're the exact same figures, because the faces are definitely not the same. Kudos to Hasbro for investing in the digital face printing technology, because the Infinity War Wanda still holds up pretty well today. And I can't say the same for the Civil War version. Upon close inspection, they are the exact same figures, including the hair, which actually surprised me because the hair looks good on the Infinity War Wanda, but not so much on the Civil War one, even though they are the exact same sculpt. As easy as it is to clown on this figure, it is still decently painted. The lapels, upper arms, and elbow areas are painted. Her rings and necklace are nice and metallic, and there's also this little bit of shading on her hair as well. It's just the tan complexion and the cartoonish face that haven't aged well. Another thing I have to pick on are her knees. She's bow-legged, and I think it's because of the way she was packaged, so I want to see if I can fix that. But the main problem is definitely her face. It was a different time. Digital printing wasn't a thing then, so you can't really compare it with today's faces. But this is not Elizabeth Olsen. This looks like one of those knockoff Barbie dolls you see at the dollar store. Is it the paint or the sculpt that makes this face so weird looking? I can't really tell. Oh, and those magic effects. I'm glad they stopped using these because they look more like flaming hands and magic hands. I will not be using these on Wanda. No thank you. Alright, my goal today is to elevate this Civil War Wanda so that she can hang out with the other Wandas without feeling like she doesn't belong. It is gonna be tough, but how much worse can it get, right? Right? So...
Hello, this is Ken. I like making things. Whether it's repainting my figures or making diorama displays, I love making things look awesome. My goal is to elevate my figures so they can shine on my display. Join my DIY adventure as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it?
I've already prepped the figure by brushing it with warm soapy water the night before. And while it's been air drying overnight, I figured I could also use this opportunity to fix her legs as well. I used a rubber band to pull the knees together and wedged a brush in between her feet, forcing the legs to bend the opposite direction. It's been a couple of hours already. Let's see if this did anything. Oh hey, I think it worked. Not sure how long this will last. I assume they'll bounce back later on. But for now, it seems to be fixed. Alright, it is time to paint. I usually do the face at the end, but in this case, I'm gonna start with the face. There's no point of painting the outfit if the face looks terrible, you know? For those who watch my content regularly, you know I always paint over what's already on the faces. I prefer making adjustments, whether it's the colors or the shapes of the facial features. I just like using the original faces as some sort of guide. But in this case, this face does not resemble Elizabeth Olsen at all. Specifically, those eyebrows and eyes. They look too much like cartoon drawings. I'm gonna need layers and layers of paint if I just paint over them. So, I'm gonna use acetone to remove her eyes. That way, I have a blank slate to work on. The cheeks and lips seems to be fine. I can retouch those. It's just the eyes that I dislike. Here's what the face looks like without the eyes. There is a bit of black smudges around the eyes still. It's a bit difficult to get my brush in those areas. And I don't want to risk melting the plastic. Or worse, make the paint smudge even more. So I'll leave it like this. Alright, let's paint. Wanda was pretty pale in Civil War, so I need to lighten up her skin tone by a couple of shades. I'm gonna use this warm white to lift the tone as quickly as possible. She's probably not this pale, but I prefer working with a lighter base, because it's easier to deepen the color than to lighten it later. Oops, she looks like a mannequin now. But surprisingly, she actually looks more like Elizabeth Olsen now than before. So it is the same head sculpt after all. Alright, let me add some life back in with a warm brown. This sounds like the wrong color, but I've used this brown plenty of times. I like the natural looking color it gives off when it's watered down. Look at that. That already looks significantly better. Next, I want to redo her cheeks. Whenever I look at Civil War Wanda, her eyes and her rosy cheeks are what stands out to me. So let me make her cheeks more red. I'm also going to add a bit of red here and there to make the skin tone a bit more realistic looking. So it's not just one-toned. Now with the same red, I'm going to retouch her lips as well. In the movie, she got this maroon colored lipstick on. But before I add that, I want a proper base color on first. Okay, it's getting there. The overall face seems pretty good already. Now I gotta do the eyes. I'm not very good at identifying eye colors, but I think Wanda has turquoise colored eyes. So I mix myself one by mixing some light blue with some light green. And I'm going to dot it right in the center of her eyeballs. That turned out to be much harder than it looked. The color was way too saturated, so I kept going over them with the same brush until the color faded out halfway. It's a little muddy, but maybe they'll look better once the rest of the eyes are more defined? So let's see. I'm going to use a dark brown for eye makeup. I don't know what it's called. Is it smoky or smudgy? Like it's dark all around her eyes. It's not as dark as Age of Ultron, but it's also not as minimal as Infinity War. It's like the midway point. Did I overdo it? It's hard to tell with only one eye done. So let me quickly do the other eye and go from there. The hardest part is that I want to create clean lines around her eyes, but also blend it out at the same time. There's only like 2 millimeters of space for me to work with, and I want to avoid making any mistakes. Cleanup work at this stage is not going to be fun. Ooh, okay. It is still questionable, but it's getting somewhere. Let me add her eyebrows in before I make any more adjustments. The original eyebrows are way too thin and way too drawn on. Wanda's eyebrows have this arch to them, so let me try and replicate that shape. She kinda looks like a lizard. Is the iris, or is it the pupils? They're way too faded, so let me work on them a bit more. I'm back. I had to do it off camera, because I didn't want to risk anything. But basically, what I did was I added 2 small black dots as the pupils, and 2 even smaller white dots to add some light back into her eyes. I feel like the eyes are now pretty good. I should leave them as is. But there's still something off about the face. It's her lips. They should be this burgundy color, so I'm gonna add a tiny amount of purple over the red lips to stain them darker. Okay, done. The face seems good, but I'm still not getting Civil War Wanda vibes. It's her outfit. It is too red. So let me remove the head and work on the body now. Before I paint, let me use a toothpick to scratch off the paint on the necklace, to reveal its original metallic sheen again. Okay, finally, onto the easy part. let's fix the coat's color. Now I feel like most of us would say her coat is red, but I think that's because of Infinity War. It did look pretty red in most scenes, including the marketing material. But I believe it was more of an editing or color grading effect, because when you look at images that have more of a natural lighting, you can see that her outfit leans more maroon than orange. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm almost certain that she's wearing the same outfit in Civil War. Except, in Civil War, her outfit looks much deeper and almost purple. Now I also think color grading plays a part in this as well. Infinity War has a warm color palette. On the other hand, Civil War has a much cooler tone. Or maybe they did change the color of her outfit in between movies. Either way, I do like that there's distinction between the two looks, because then I'll end up with two very different looking Wandas. Anyway, in order to get the maroon color I want, I'm gonna start by adding a red base to the coat, and then slowly adding washes of purple over it until I get the color I'm happy with. I probably could have started with the purple, but I like building it up slowly. Oftentimes these colors end up darker once they're dried, so I have more control over it this way. Last but not least, her pants. In the movie, she's wearing black leather pants. Leather has a bit of shine to it, but it's not as intense as the plastic shine on the original figure. So I'm gonna go over the pants with the black, making them completely matte instead. Another thing I like about early Wanda is that she used to wear black nail polish. It adds to her rebellious nature, and is another thing that's different from her Infinity War counterpart. Now it's time to adjust the finish. I want the focus to be on the coat. Looking at reference images, I can see that it also has this leather shine. But there are these patches that are matte, like on her upper arms and elbows. So, I'm gonna add a bit of glossy varnish over the entire coat except for those areas. Oh, it is too glossy. It looks wet, and not in a good way. So let me try and get rid of some of the shine. Acrylic paint dries matte, so if I dilute it with water, it will leave a thin coat of it over the surface, dulling down the shine. And I decided to use red because I do find the coat a bit too purple now, so this should warm up the coat a bit again. Ooh, look at that. That's much better. Now onto her legs. I'm going to use the matte varnish this time. The matte varnish doesn't really dry matte. It has more of a rubbery shine, which is closer to what I want. But instead of adding it to the pants, I'm going to add it to her boots instead. The reason is because I don't want the entire figure to be glossy. I believe having the pants matte will create a nice visual contrast between the coat and boots, giving the figure a more realistic look rather than a plastic one. There we go. Perfect. Now let's put the head back on and do the final touches. What is it, you might ask? It's the hair. While I appreciate the shading on the hair, I find the brown a bit too reddish. When I look at close-up photos of Wanda, her hair is more of a yellowish brown. It's a very minor thing, but I think this will complete the look. Another unique thing about her hair is that the front pieces are slightly lighter. It's very subtle, barely noticeable, but it's there. So let me add that to her hair. I'm also going to add a little bit of it on the top of her hair as well, so it looks more like natural highlights. And to finish it off, I'm going to add a bit of deep brown, focusing mostly on the bottom half of her hair. So it's not too one note, you know? Okay, I am done. Now I just need to seal everything with a matte spray. Alright, let's see the before and after. Here's Civil War Wanda Maximoff. And let's compare her with the original figure. Okay, these are two completely different figures. The difference is actually pretty drastic. Actually, drastic isn't even the right word. Unbelievable? Like, I can't really believe my eyes here. The original figure is a toy, and the painted one looks like a mini Hot Toys. It's almost too lifelike. Now, my paintwork isn't as clean as Hot Toys, but I really think I nailed all the colors, tones, and finish. I really like how the coat shines against the other matte elements. And what really blows my mind is that other than the corset and the necklace, every other part has been painted over. But yet, the figure still looks pretty natural looking. There are layers and layers of paint on the upper portion of the figure, but it also doesn't look like it at the same time. Oh, I spoke too soon. Paint rub has striked once again. The paint around the elbow areas has been rubbed off, and I can't seem to take the arms apart either, so sanding isn't really an option at this point. I tried adding thin coats of regular paint, but it was still rubbing off. So I'm gonna try something different. Let me see if acrylic markers will work. This is my logic. Acrylic markers appear to be thinner, but also more opaque than regular acrylic paint. So I should be able to avoid severe paint rub if I use markers around the joints instead of paint. Here's what the elbows look like now after patching. The marker was still too light, so I went in with some watered down black paint to stain it darker. It looks fine now. Let's hope it lasts. This is very subjective. You don't have to agree with me, but I feel like this is one of my best work ever. Top 3 maybe. When it comes to my best live action customs, Toby, Andrew, Kingpin, Wolverine, Wasp, or even Black Adam come to mind. But maybe it's recency bias, but I genuinely think this Wanda beats them all. Partly because she's Wanda, but it's also because this is, I believe, my first time redoing the face from scratch. All the other customs had pretty decent faces to begin with. Okay, maybe not Black Adam, but I had foundations to work off of. But with Wanda, I pretty much had to reconstruct her eyes. And the eyes are the window to the soul. I really feel like I captured Elizabeth Olsen's likeness pretty well. Do you agree? Let's end this with some photos. For those who have this or the Infinity War figure, you know that this Wanda isn't that poseable. She can only really do very basic standing poses. She can turn her head and bend her arms slightly, but that's pretty much it. The range of motion is pretty limited. That said, I was still able to capture a variety of natural looking poses. She isn't super fun to pose, but I really like some of these photos. What do you think? Do you like my Civil War Wanda? If you do, feel free to give this video a like, a hype, and subscribe to see more content like this. Help me grow my channel so I can do more videos like this one. I'm incredibly proud that I have turned a subpar figure into a masterpiece, and I hope you enjoyed this process too. And as always, stay inspired and I'll see you soon. I can make it, so can you.